All right, staying with weather developments, if you thought the winter season was beginning to fade, you've got another thing coming. So a strong cold snap expected to hit various parts of the country, as we've just been saying, in the coming days, with snowfall expected in different provinces, including here in Gauteng. So let's understand what the system that is currently driving this particular pattern. We'll speak to climatologist Simon Gear. Simon, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. So one would have thought that winter was behind us, yet here we are. What's happening?
Yes, good evening. It's not desperately unhappy. Desperately unusual, rather, to have a cold front this late in the season. And in fact, my first memory of snow when I was a 5-year-old in Johannesburg back in 1981 was that happened on the 10th of September. So these big cold fronts, they do tend to come in every now and again through the latter part of winter. And when they do come and they couple with an upper air trough like this one is doing, it can bring very, very inclement weather indeed.
And when you're then, just looking at the current system, what could be driving it? Because when one reads, for example, you get a sense that, when it comes to, for example, cut-off low, that particular system, it may at times be difficult to predict, and that includes snow as well.
Not particularly difficult to predict. We know that this cold front is on its way. It's going to interact with a low pressure over the interior. So that means that you've got the cold front coming through from the southwest. You've also got some tropical air in circulation over the central and northern parts of the country. And so you get this very, very cold air, but associated with very wet weather as well, which is quite unusual. And so that's what is going to bring a decent chance of snow over the southern and eastern mountains. Possibility of maybe some at least sleet over southern Gauteng and parts of the Free State, and certainly some rain in places as well, and quite heavy rain forecast, in fact, over the southwestern Cape, and then spreading eastwards through into the Eastern Cape later.
So given, some of these unusual patterns right now, with, of course, a lot of concern even around the rainfall and what this might mean, and what we've seen in recent past as far as some of the unusual weather patterns are concerned, how are we to, just better prepare, especially when it comes to some of, the summer rains? Others were saying that, there might be even some of the issues that we've seen there. For example, you think flash flooding and all of that. Is there even a way to prepare for some of these adverse weather conditions into the future?
Certainly, let's firstly take this particular weekend. So the cold front is expected to make landfall on Sunday. Will probably be actually a little bit of rain by Saturday over Cape Town, and then is going to spread through to the Eastern Cape by Monday, reaching Gauteng by Tuesday. And there should be snow over that eastern escarpment by maybe late Monday and into Tuesday as well. So if you're planning to drive between Durban and the Highveld over that period, bear that in mind. You don't want to get caught in on the Van Riemen's Pass, for example, or on any of the Eastern Cape passes over this or the early parts of next week. You could well end up being stuck for a good few days. So firstly, I think people have a responsibility to plan their own private lives around this. Farmers are usually fairly well tapped into weather forecasts, and so small stock farmers throughout the Eastern Cape, they should be bringing their flocks in by Saturday so that they're safe through this period. And anyone who's planning hikes in the Drakensberg or anywhere in the mountains need to maybe consider reevaluating their plans for this weekend. This can be very, very severe, very dangerous weather, and we don't need to put additional pressure on the emergency services by having people act irresponsibly.
Yeah, especially because some of the people may want to even take advantage of the long weekend and think that it may just be, worth them snow chasing. And I know that just, calling for caution, but also when it comes to early warning systems. The South African Weather Service has really been great when it comes to putting the systems, the warnings out there. Municipalities are also trying to put out the word out there. Is there anything more that can be done as far as the early warning systems are concerned?
Well, this forecast has been now around for a couple of days already. So it came out almost a week before the system is expected to hit Joburg, which is about as early as it possibly can be brought out. This sort of forecasting tends not to be done much more than about a week in advance. So we can't really expect the Weather Service to have forecast this any earlier than they have. This has given ample opportunity for the municipalities to cancel leave if they have to get their emergency services ready uh, for the arrival of this weather, and to alert their citizens that uh, the latter part of this weekend into the public holiday and into Tuesday is not a time to be traveling.
All right, let's see then what happens. And you heard there, Simon is, just echoing what the officials have been saying. Just be careful, really, as you're planning your travels for the long weekend. So do take caution and make sure that you're not caught up in, just these adverse weather conditions. Climatologist Simon Gear speaking to us.